Hey everyone, I'm your host, Jacquelyn Crinnion. And tonight we have a country music singer with us, Gary Gene Bolton. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, Jacquelyn.
Well, thank you for coming back on the show. I know you were with us 3 years ago, was it?
I think about 3 years ago. Yeah.
Well, what's new? What has happened in those past 3 years?
Well, I just keep writing and recording and promoting and just doing what I love to do, the creative side of music production.
So why, since you're a country music singer, why did you come to LA instead of Nashville?
Well, when I came to LA, I really wasn't a country music singer. I just love music. And I've been singing since I was 4 or 5 years old. To my older sister accompanied me at the piano. And I sang the hits of the day. And so Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, those tunes. My mother was Italian. Thank God Dean Martin never came to our hometown, or I think Mother would have run off with him or something. But anyway, so those are the kinds of tunes I sang. And then in college, there was a song fest. I think they have a song fest here at USC.
Yeah. There
was one at my university, and I did a Motown tune, "My Girl," that was recorded by the Temptations, and I got this response that I just blew me away, and music got in my blood. But I've done everything from singing Latin masses in the Catholic Church to country. Well, long story short, when I moved to LA, I was just doing pop, all kinds of pop music and recording songs for other writers. You meet a lot of new writers, and they've got a song, and they need someone to sing it. And so I was really a singer. I moved out, just as a vocalist. And so I ended up cutting a tune for a writer who had a #1 hit with Barry White. His name was Sterling Radcliffe. And he wrote "You're the First, the Last, My Everything" for Barry White. And Sterling saw me singing at a showcase at the Hyatt on Sunset, and called me over, and he had this tune called "The Lonely King of Rock and Roll," which was a little bit country. So I recorded that tune, and then I ended up doing another country tune for Joe Saraceno, who produced the Ventures and the Marquettes. He had a tune called "Have You Hugged Your Kid Today?" And so that was a country tune. So I did that. And so then I started writing. When I started writing music, I kind of wrote about home, or wrote my vision of love and my vision of life. And it just kind of to be a middle America kind of thing.
How did you start up in this industry? I know you mentioned showcases. Did you start up doing showcases, or you tried to find an agent, or?
I moved out here, and I had a couple of demo tapes of some songs that I recorded back in a small studio in Kansas. So I ran around with that demo tape, knocking on doors, and then I found out about they had showcases. I think things were a little bit more organized in those days. So I sang at all of these showcases, and then that's when I met Sterling. And from Sterling, every person I met, I have either met directly or indirectly through Sterling. It's just the strangest thing. And so then I just started recording songs. I loved being in the studio, and I loved recording. And I love performing too.
Now, when you first started, you weren't a writer?
I wasn't a writer. I really wrote, I started my first song from a real tough place that I had in my life. We had an illness in our family, and it was really, I'd had a couple singles released out of Nashville, and they didn't do as well as I had hoped they would do, and I just hit a brick wall. And then I had an illness in my family, and I had to be home, and there were just things that just changed my life completely. but it put me in this place, this kind of lonely, quiet place that almost forced me to write.
Yeah.
You know.
As kind
And
of an
I didn't
outlet?
I didn't say, well, now I think I'll write a song, because I'm not performing right now. It was just an idea came into my head, and I really didn't think much about it. I wrote a little bit down, and I'd always started writing songs but never finished a song. And so this one I just stuck with and finished, and then I realized I thought, well, I think I can write songs.
Yeah.
And it was really satisfying. It's, you know, I didn't realize, and it made me a better singer because I understood how much work went into writing a song and how much pain you went to making those words just right, you know. So
What's your process like for writing a song? Does a melody pop in your head, or an idea, and then the lyrics and the melody come together, or?
it's usually a lyrical idea, mostly lyrics. I'm not much of a musician. I played trumpet for years, and then moved out to LA just as a singer. Really, I wasn't playing the horn anymore, and but I had a lot of vocal training, so things just made sense to me. Like if I had a you know, once you hang around it long enough, you know, something good happens. And I was fortunate to hang around good writers. Just by chance, I was good friends with the writer George Mottola. George has passed on, Sterling has passed on, but George wrote the classic Goodnight My Love. And it was just something about being around him that I understood that if you're going to write a song, especially about love, it's like you write it all the way. You know, it's like you don't kind of love you. It's got to be all the way. So there were little things that you know, I just picked up from these guys about just a sensibility about, you know, what was right. And so it's just an idea. It's just an idea that comes into my head.
So do you perform things that you write now, or do you still do other songs that have already been written and perform those?
You know, I love any song anyone else performs or records. That's the one I want to do. You know, it means like, oh, why didn't I do that
so
song?
good.
Oh, I want to do that song. You know, so you have that. You know, the grass is always greener. But I've grown to kind of discipline myself with that. So I record. You know, I'm recording. This is mostly my song. This is my album here.
Yeah.
And this is like 12 tunes, and I wrote or co-wrote 11 of them.
Okay.
And so, and then I did some of Sterling Radcliffe's tunes, and those, Sterling wrote those, and Gene Page was a top arranger and conductor here in town, did the music for those, and so those were that was the pure singer in me.
So you wrote 11 of them, or co-wrote at least most of these songs?
Right, yeah.
We have 2 CDs. Are these both coming out now, or what's the
right
story
now,
of these?
Right now, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. There's a secret tune. I'll perform it tonight.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the first song that goes out to radio. I've had one tune out, Whatever Happened to Main Street, that I recorded a few years ago. It's on the album, and every time the economy turns downward, or you know, we hear more stories, I get calls, what are you going to do with Whatever Happened to Main Street? So I did send that out to internet radio, and it got up to number 4 on the All About Country charts. So, you know, and what the thing about that tune is, it's going to come back again. It's a few months later, someone may call me and go, we want to do this with Whatever Happened to Main Street. So that's a tune that has been out to a certain extent. And then the first tune is going to be the secret tune off the album. It's a really nutty tune. It's you know, if all the songs were like that on the album, you know, they'd be taking me away probably, you know.
Well, maybe. Yeah, that'll be a special treat for everybody later to have a listen to. But I know it's called With a Little Bit of Love, so I'm guessing we got a lot of love songs on this.
Yeah.
Slower tunes.
Yeah, the With a Little Bit of Love, that was the one that came out of real pain. And it's a song about hope, and it's one that I definitely think is a single potential, and I definitely will do something with that tune as a single. But I'm going to lead up with this funky tune that just kind of a mindless, humorous tune. So.
To grab some attention.
Yeah.
How did you come, like, I know that this title came from one of the songs, but did you ever go through any other permutations for a title for this CD? Any other thoughts come to your head for what to title this CD?
Well, my daughter wanted me to title it With a Little Bit of
Oh.
Love, and she has pretty good taste, so.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Gary Jean Bolton's first CD, no. I wanted to ask specifically about the process of making a CD, about putting together these songs, picking your people, recording it, and getting it out there. So where do you start?
Well, you start with a good song,
Uh-huh.
and otherwise, why are you going to go and do all that,
Yeah.
you know? So you start with a good song, and then you try to get your hands on a good producer. And I was fortunate enough to be introduced to Richard Ajitsi. Richard has been in the music business for a long time, and was a producer with Capitol for a while. And he's just a really solid music guy. Wasn't a country producer, but had such a musical mind that he could turn on country radio for a little while and get it.
Yeah.
And not only get it, he'd have an idea what he wanted to do, an original idea about it, what he wanted to do. So once that happens, then you get the musicians, and Richard got most of the musicians. I was able to get a couple. I got Teresa James to back me up. You know, we're looking around town, we're going, well, who's a good girl that does country backup? Because we're in L.A.
Yeah.
So a friend of mine said, you know, there's a girl named Teresa James, really good. And so I got a hold of Teresa. We were recording right in her neighborhood. She loved that, didn't have to drive too far. So we got Teresa, and then Richard got Nathan East, who is like the premier bass player in the world.
Nice.
Nathan's been with Eric Clapton for 20 years and has his own band. So, I mean, to get people like that on the album, Nathan East and Mitch Holder on guitar, and Tom Canning played piano. And then after Tom, we cut several sides. Tom liked my lyrics and said, hey, if you want to co-write something, fine. So Tom and I ended up co-writing that secret tune.
Oh, nice.
And so it was just very fortunate to have, you know, have good music. You can't do it without good musicians. You have to have a good musician, good producer.
Yeah,
You know,
so we got a good song, we
good
got a
song,
good producer,
and
got
then the rest is
musicians.
up to me to try to,
Yeah,
you
bring
know,
'em
try
together.
to bring up my end of it. You know.
How long would you say you spent compiling the songs on the CD? Were there other songs that didn't make the cut, or?
There were a couple other. There was one song that I wanted to make the cut, and Richard just didn't want it on there. So I went ahead and let him have his way. I said, "Well, I'll do it next time." You know,
Yeah.
it's still there.
The
Still a
next
good
CD.
song. So I actually rewrote some of these songs. People, you know, when you write songs, you don't come up with all the exact right words the first time. Not usually you don't. And it's just kind of like you take an English course, and the teacher has you write a composition, and then they're going to have you rewrite it and rewrite it. So you do that with music too,
That's true.
to really have something good.
Alrighty, we got that treat I've been promising, the secret hit single coming up from Gary Jean Bolton. Take it away.
Thanks. I had a rough summer. I'm going to tell you just a little bit about it. My dog bit me on the 4th of July. That SOB ruined my holiday. Instead of a friendly barbecue, I'm on my way to the emergency room. I swear it's not a lie. My dog bit me on the 4th of July.
We have With a Little Bit of Love by Gary Jean Bolton. Hope to see you guys next week on See You at USC.